in some good months, this whole year 2021, at least once in a while, your name has been on the headlines for coming up with something. You started with the idea of stopping artists from going into schools. Actually, that is the time I wanted to look for you and I failed. How did you come up with this? And why do you think these people should not go back to school, to schools, to perform in schools?
First and foremost,
Yes.
these are our children.
Who? The artists?
The children who are in school are our children.
Just like the artists?
Just like the artists, they are our children. And children need to be brought up in an environment where they pick from we the adults. Children need to be, Uganda is a Christian country. It is also a Muslim country, there are Muslims here. It is a religious country, if I can summarize. Generally, Uganda is a religious country. And you cannot have people going into boarding schools and almost naked, dancing seductively before the children, and the children must copy this dance. What kind of future leaders are we going to have if we can, children pick from us? And if this is what it is, then that's what they are going to do. So, and I saw the naked photos of some of the artists in schools. And some of the children dancing like them. And dancing in a manner that you as a parent, you would not wish to see your child in that kind of dance.
Okay.
So I definitely walked to the office of the deputy speaker who was chairing the house then, and I said, no, this is a matter, if we are supposed to have a country where morals are actually respected, then this is one of them. We cannot have children who are supposed to be the leaders of tomorrow. We allow this kind of thing to go on. There must be some form of regulation.
Okay.
And as a child before, when we were growing up, entertainment, we would have entertainment through drama, through, yes, some schools would come and perform in our schools, games and so on. Now, if we are to allow the artists into schools, there must be clear guidelines on how you should dress.
At that very point, Honorable,
Yes.
you had a very big kind of following and support on all platforms. But of course, those dissenting voices that were coming up were questioning why you didn't suggest measures of how to check them, give them rules to respect if they were to perform in schools, than barring them totally from entering schools.
I raised my point. The people responsible for implementing also looked at my point, and the best was to ban, because you saw the arguments. There were people who were actually looking at this as a business. Okay. Some people in the schools, by the way, were looking at this as a business. You can imagine asking a child who is in school to pay 10,000 to watch this artist.
Yes.
So the schools were now the source of revenue for these artists.
Specifically teachers in charge of entertainment.
Yes. So a child pays 10,000, and some children don't have the money, but they would now pay 10,000. They don't have certain basics, but they would pay 10,000 to go and watch an artist. And this was going to continue, by the way, if we had not stopped it. So it would become a weekend, a source of revenue. Okay. And with the corruption in this country, it would be something else. So also coupled with that.
So you presented
the
problem
with my proposal.
The argument, the debate was on, but the ruling was with the people in charge, and that is the Ministry of Education.
Yes, and they saw my point and agreed with me that the best thing, because the enforcement would be difficult, the best was to ban them.
Okay.
Yeah, but to ban them. So I am sure if these, and the artists also went on rampage, speaking all kinds of things.
Actually, they split.
Yes.
There were those who agreed with you.
Yes.
Especially the senior ones. But there were those young ones who were very bitter with you up to now, I'm sure.
No, even if they are bitter, for me, if you are bitter, that's your business. But we must have order in society. And we want to see our children being brought up in a certain way. with certain values.
Actually, many of them were arguing that children are watching a lot on TVs in your houses, you parents. Why do you think it is me, an artist who only sings for them for 30 minutes, that will spoil them? How much are you doing in your homes?
But why are they saying that? Have they been to the homes to see what is in the homes, or that all the children have TVs? If the children had access to all this, they would be doing what those artists are doing. But they don't. Just a few. It's a few. If you go to the countryside, how many people have TVs in their villages? Very few.
Now, after that, you came out with Nyegenyege. You wanted Nyegenyege not to happen in Uganda. And in fact, as if actually you all agreed as parliament that we should not have Nyegenyege. Many people thought you were standing in the way of their earning. Secondly, what you looked at as immoral, this is an event for only adults. What was your view? Didn't you know that Nyegenyege was
But
for
are you sure there were adults only that got there?
According to the arrangement, only adults are the ones invited.
That is the arrangement.
Yes.
The enforcement is different. You see, when Father Lokodo, may his soul rest in peace,
Amen.
was still Minister of Ethics and Integrity, this issue of Nyegenyege was brought in cabinet, and it was brought in parliament.
Yes.
And the decision then was to stop it. And I remember the Minister of Internal Affairs said it is only 2 days away. We can't stop it, let it go on. So this time round, Father Lokodo was not there. But I saw the advertisements on TV, and I said, wait a minute, what is this? 3 days of people drinking the whole day, the whole night. But also there were other things that I don't want to talk about here. You know the things which they were advertising.
Yes.
And coupled with that, you saw some communities calling them pride events, that this is a pride event. I said, what is pride? What is this pride event? And then I was briefed about what the pride event was. Really, we are not stopping people from drinking. I've just been to Lugogo. I found 2 huge preparations and Kololo. People are going to their music concerts that occur in this country. Have you heard me speaking about them? No, because there are rules that these people follow. And you have not seen the things that were being advertised in the Nyegenyege. Here, you have not seen that. You haven't seen that.
Yes.
We haven't made noise because there are clear guidelines that we follow as Ugandans. But if you have this concert that is even shown on BBC and called immoral, why should we as leaders keep quiet when the organizers, when people here look at money at the expense of the final repercussion that this would have?
That connects to morality.
Yes.
Honorable, there's something that really was so much interesting that I looked at personally. I don't know whether other people looked at it. The previous time, Nyegenyege had been stopped by cabinet, and allowed by parliament. This time round, parliament stopped Nyegenyege and the executive gave a green flag. What does this have to say about our government system, where you belong? The other time you were in cabinet, this time you were in parliament.
The problem is that sometimes proper information is not given.
Okay.
People come up and say we are promoting tourism. But is that the best way to promote tourism in this country?
But when you say proper information is not given, cabinet or parliament are institutions who would expect, if to receive information, to get the real cream of information, because they can hire anyone. Can cabinet or parliament be misinformed over any issue, really? What do you make of that, Honorable?
A difficult question. But if I asked anybody,
yes,
what have we benefited, apart from people selling their things on that day? But I also saw those who are crying, Mattresses were picked from their shops, taken there for Nyegenyege, and payments not made. I'm very sure there are people even up to now who are crying that they have not been paid. They made losses. So all that is there. But at the end of it all, I think now we need to plan better, to start the conversation early, bottom line.
Okay.
Because somebody comes up and says this is promoting tourism. So many thousands of tourists are going to come in the country for Nyegenyege. But is that what we should be using to promote Uganda? There are various things that we should be using to promote Uganda. Yesterday I was with the Minister of Sports, and they were actually trying to say that they are going to bring people here, mountain climbing.
Yes.
And they are looking at either Mount Rwenzori, Mount Elgon, and that brings so many tourists. Those are the things we should be using to promote Uganda as a country, as a tourist destination. We have various national parks. We have beautiful, natural weather, the lakes here, the beauty in Karamoja, our own, cultures which we can use, and we say, okay, there are countries you go to, and you find a place like this, and you find different cultural dances. I went to, I think it was Cameroon, where they have a whole center. You can actually go and tour Cameroon by just going to this one particular place, and you will know the kind of lifestyle of the different people, the kind of houses, the kind of dressing, the dance, and all that.
They use that for income and marketing the country.
You use that for income and marketing the country, not through drinking and people sleeping around and people doing all kinds of stuff. I can assure you we had some undercover reporter. At some point we shall produce some of the videos. Because the leaders who were going there, some were going there during the day, and they were being taken. This was a big place. They were being taken to this particular place where people are decent. But there are other places where...
Not in the dark corners.
Yes, they were not being taken to those other corners. We had people there who would take videos and share with us. At some point, we'll have to bring out these videos to show the actual Nyegenyege. But Nyegenyege would be fine.
Why would you go ahead to share those videos?
No,
you said at some point
I
you will.
am saying at some point we will.
Why?
Because the conversation was not complete. Parliament stopped, Cabinet okayed, because they said it was too short to stop the tourists. Now, come next year, they will still be Nyegenyege, I'm very sure.
Definitely.
Because the organizers are looking at earning revenue.
I was somewhere and somebody was blaming you and Parliament, that actually this time you marketed Nyegenyege unknowingly, and it may have a crowd like that of Namugongo next year.
If it takes place.
Really?
If it takes place.
Chances are there that it may not take place.
The argument by the executive is that it was too short. So we need to organize better. And if we are to say that children should not go to this place, then it should be so. But there are children who found their way to these places.
Okay.
Yeah.
From Nyegenyege, you came up with an idea that the minimum qualification of an MP should be a bachelor's. This is one single member of Parliament, the Honorable Sarah Opendi. Where do you base to come up with this? First of all, do you think it can pass with your colleagues, many of whom whose qualification is below a bachelor's?
No, members of Parliament, I'm sure maybe close to 80% have degrees.
Okay.
That's not a small number. But also, I'm not the one introducing qualifications. The qualifications are there in the Constitution.
But
the qualifications were
originally put senior 6?
Senior 6 for a reason. Because by the time the Constitution was being promulgated, we had one university. That was Makerere University. And we had very few graduates. And then we had the National College of Business Studies. So if you don't go to Makerere, you go to the National College and do a diploma. So we had very few graduates at that time. Now, almost over 30 years now, we have 26 or so universities in the country.
Over 30 actually?
Yes, they are over 26 and over. Over 26 universities in the country. And in almost all regions of the country.
Yes.
So why should we still be talking about senior 6? By that time it was relevant. Now it is not. Because there are graduates In every sub-county that you go to, there are people who have graduated with a master's degree.
What is the relationship between a degree and capacity to play the role of an MP?
Certainly, a degree holder, when you're a degree holder,
Yes.
you will appreciate certain things different. When you're a degree holder, you will definitely, your capacity to appreciate certain points is different from somebody who is a senior six leaver. If you've got a senior six leaver now to sit with me, there is a difference. There will be a difference because I'll appreciate certain things differently. I will have been taken through, I may not have work experience as a graduate, but I will have gone through certain things and I appreciate how systems work. I appreciate certain concepts and I have some ideas to push even in committees, which is different from just having a senior six leaver. And we don't have senior six leavers in Parliament today. Of course, although that is the qualification, but they are not there. I think the lowest qualification is a diploma.
Among the people that we get. But previously we've been having them.
That was then.
Yes.
Because, as I said, the university in Uganda at that time was only Makerere University.
Yes.
And it would only about 200, 300 people would graduate in a year. Today you have over 30,000 people graduating every year. So why wouldn't you scale up the qualification?
If I'm to take your statistics, 80% of you are degree holders and above.
Yeah. We have people with PhD.
Yes.
We have master's degree holders.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
How does it tally with your performance as a parliament, especially in relation to the livelihoods deep in Kisoro, deep in Kiboga, deep in Tororo?
I don't know if I've understood you right.
Yes.
How does it tally with me?
Yes, we have
with my
over
performance.
80% of the occupants in that house, degree holders.
Yes.
How have your degrees in these offices impacted on the lives of the ordinary Ugandan down in the villages?
You are able to do your oversight role better because you cannot undertake or carry out your oversight work if you cannot read and understand the policy documents that the executive has passed.
But we still have corrupt practices in the districts.
No. Now you're talking about corruption. I am talking about understanding, comprehending.
Okay.
You must first of all understand what is in these policy documents and then go and supervise the degree holders at this district level, what you're talking about. At the sub-county level, the technical people, the CDO, the sub-county chief are all degree holders.
On a scorecard now over 100%.
And you are supposed to go and, you know, read these documents.
Yes.
And after reading and understanding them, then you're supposed to do your oversight work over those executives who can be smarter than you.
On a scorecard of 100%, how would you rate the current parliament? Let's look at you, the current parliament. 80% of you are degree holders.
I think the current parliament has done well. We are just 1 year into our term. And in this 1 year, a number of bills have been passed. Of course, there is a challenge in that we came in at a time when there was these COVID restrictions. But also we have a challenge of space in that in the chambers, not every member of parliament can be there at particular time T. But we've done our best to scrutinize the bills that have been brought by the executive.
Okay.
Because majority of the bills are by the executive. And these people, whom we call senior six leavers, although they are not.
It is you who wants them out.
No, but they are not there. We don't have them. They are no senior six leavers.
Honorable, elsewhere in the world,
most of the people in parliament today are actually degree holders.
Which is a beautiful thing.
So what is the reason? What is the challenge? And this is why we are calling upon all the others. And actually some are at school. A good number. When I started this conversation, there are some who have gone back to school. They are actually reading.
The people that
they share their time between the constituency, the house. Some are reading in the evening. Some are reading over the weekends. Yeah. So it doesn't affect their time and
Honorable, are there other countries where academic qualifications matter in as far as leadership is concerned?
Yeah, there are quite a number. Go to Rwanda. You cannot be a district councillor without senior six.
Wow.
Yeah. In Rwanda, you must have senior six to be a district councillor.
So what we have been having for Parliament,
yeah,
they
have
at
for a district level.
Okay.
Yeah.
How has this been welcomed in the house
of course,
and outside?
You see, when you explain, people understand where you're coming from. Sometimes we have a tendency of running with things without understanding what the intention is and what informed the drafting of this particular amendment. Yes. So there is that misunderstanding. But this is not the first time. Remember, in the 10th Parliament, Parliament approved qualifications for sub-county chairpersons and for district councillors and for town council chairpersons.
Yes.
For one reason, that you have a sub-county chief who is a degree holder, but you have an LC3 chairman who can't read and write. So how are you going to supervise this? So we said, let us have senior 4 qualification for sub-county chief. And this was passed and approved. But the challenge came in that, first of all, it was too close to the election time. And that's why, in my view, I felt we should start the conversation early, because it was unanimously passed by Parliament then, and it wasn't objected to. So this is why we needed to start the conversation early, so that people who want to contest in 2026 can go back to school. And schools are all over. We have secondary schools in almost every sub-county in the country today.
So you're starting early to give them time?
To give them time, yes.
Honorable, let us wind up with the bill on alcohol that you are trying to come up with. You are suggesting that we regulate alcohol consumption in Uganda. Why are you coming up again with this one? Do you see, isn't alcohol consumption a right? And you suggesting an infringement on people's right to happiness and leisure?
Alcohol consumption is your right. It's
Yes.
your right to take alcohol.
Yes.
And my bill is not stopping anybody from drinking alcohol. The bill I want to bring is intended to regulate the production of alcohol,
Yes.
the packaging of alcohol, the consumption of alcohol, the sale of alcohol. So when we are talking about consumption, what time? Why are you not drinking alcohol here?
Because I was waiting for you.
No, because you're at work. And it's working hours.
Yes.
This is working time. So we must have time when people can drink and work. We must have a license. For you to produce alcohol, you must be licensed. We have seen people, even previous years. I had an auntie whose husband went blind after drinking alcohol. And actually, when you're blind, you almost, most of these people are depressed, especially if you had your sight and you lost your sight. And he finally passed on. So we had people in West Nile just few months ago,
Yes.
who were blind, some lost their lives.
Yes.
So who licensed this company?
In that area, people died because they were drinking at a time when there was
That is wrong.
They had no food.
That is wrong. So why don't they have food? You see? And it's not only there. Why don't people in other, there's famine all over the country. Even now, if you go to most parts of the country, you find people eating 1 meal a day. So if you go down to the grassroots, people drink from morning. The men have left the gardens to the women. Domestic violence is on the increase. There are health complications arising out of consumption of alcohol. There are people who are losing their lives because of consuming. Actually, if you look at data from WHO, 5% of the mortality rate in this country is as a result of consumption of alcohol. We have accidents on our roads as a result of alcohol. Alcohol has contributed to poverty in this country. Alcohol has contributed to diseases in this country. And alcohol has contributed to mortality in this country. So while others are looking at revenue here and there, an organized sector would bring in more revenue. Currently, the alcohol on the market, only 39% of the alcohol produced and consumed in this country are licensed. So if we had a law
Because
with a
the
penalty.
people you want to respond, they are local brewers.
No, I'm not talking about, please don't talk about,
Tonto,
don't talk about the
Waraji.
tonto.
Yes.
Don't talk about the tonto. I am talking about alcohol that is packaged.
Okay.
That is packaged. There is alcohol packaged in this country.
And it doesn't pay tax.
It doesn't pay tax. It is not licensed. So the people producing this alcohol with huge contents of ethanol in them are actually the people creating challenges, health complications, and death for our people.
Okay.
And we want a regulated sector. You produce alcohol, you must have a license. And the regulators must have tested your product before you bring it to the market. Not what is happening now, that anybody is out there producing, packaging, and there is this kill me quick. You just take a sip and you are
Honorable,
you are there lying,
understand.
Useless, you can't dig, you can't do anything. So,
Honorable, what are the chances that you're going to succeed with this bill? I've ever had it previously with the Honorable Betty Namboze of Mukono, and as if, was it the executive that requested to join her, and it
allow
flopped?
me to explain.
Yes.
I was a Minister of State for Health at that time. It was I who asked the Honorable Namboze to hold her bill because we were coming up with the alcohol control policy as a health sector.
Okay.
And this was researched. In coming up with the policy, we needed to pick all the stakeholders' views, came up with the policy, so that the policy informs the law. So the policy was approved by Cabinet in 2019, and it is there. And the Honorable Namboze then lost interest in the bill. Yes.
So you
and
are
this is
coming
why,
up with it.
yes, I have come up with it.
Will you win those that look at the revenue and other issues that surround alcohol production and sale?
We will, because they will actually get more revenue. Kenya gets more revenue. The alcohol in Kenya is regulated. You cannot sell alcohol at a certain time. You cannot consume alcohol beyond a certain time in public places.
Yes.
So Kenya, which has a law, earns more revenue from alcohol than we do because theirs is regulated.
Okay.
And by the way, I want to tell Ugandans, social media, it's my right to drink. Why are you stopping? We have not stopped you from drinking. We have no capacity to stop you from drinking because alcohol is produced and there are people licensed to produce it. So if they have produced licensed alcohol, you are right to consume it. We have no capacity to stop you. But all we are saying is that
there must be order, on how
what is in the market must be licensed. How it is packaged also matters. You know, we removed the Saket Waraji, the 50 mils, because it was portable. But the 200 mils is even portable still, because I've seen people have gone to churches and somebody comes with the bottle in the pocket.
Within the court.
Within the court, within the
this
pocket.
Is my very last one to you.
So we need to regulate this sector, and it is for the good of Ugandans. The poverty in parts of the country is partially attributed to the overconsumption of alcohol. Okay. The women have been left as heads of families, which should not be the case. Children are accessing alcohol. That should not be the case. People in uniform are drinking alcohol. That should not be the case.
They are falling on the roads in uniform.
So you shouldn't do that.
This is the general question everywhere among people that these issues you look at, how do they affect the common Ugandan? Some people think there are more issues there, like the corruption you were mentioning yourself, mafias within the health sector, people that disturb the peace everywhere. We have not had you going for the corruption, which is biting and everybody is complaining. Why do you choose these issues?
So how can I go against corruption? I am not an implementer. We have enough legislations on corruption in this country.
Okay.
We have agencies, the anti-corruption unit in the president's office. We have the Inspector General of Government. We have the DPP. We have the CID. All these are agencies in place. We have the anti-corruption court, which is supposed to prosecute
Even
corruption.
After bringing these bills, it will be
The challenge with corruption in this country is the political interference in the processes, because that one is a fact. There are political interferences, and you, at the end of the day, find that it is the smaller part down there at the district that the IGG will come for, and that needs to change, by the way. So on legislation, we have had enough. We have actually, I was a second of the motion by Honorable Nsaba Buturu. We spoke about corruption when the late Olanya was alive. We had a whole session, 2 hours, talking about corruption and what to do. So the problem of dealing with corruption cannot be ours alone. it has to be a concerted effort, but majorly by the executive, because they are the implementers of these laws. So these are the issues. We can't sit back
Just because there is
just because there is corruption, and therefore I should deal with corruption. No, we'll deal with all these issues, and for as long as I think this particular law is good for us, it's my right to bring this piece of legislation. The private members' bill is my right.
There is belief that actually some of the incidences in your tour of duty is why you are not in cabinet currently. What do you think?
Go and ask the president. It's the president who appoints, and he knows why. But I served my term, because when I'm appointed, you appointed a minister to serve up to the end of that term if you are not removed.
Okay.
So the fact that I served my term and completed, because remember in 2019, he dropped some ministers. He did not drop me. He was satisfied with my work. It is just not my time to be a minister now. So and I'm happy. And I'm happy doing my work as a member of parliament, because when I came in 2011, that is the office that I asked my people to elect me. So when I came, the president took me to cabinet. So I had no chance to be in the backbench. I am happy now to serve Ugandans from the backbench, and definitely I think I'm doing my work effectively.
Thank you so much, Honorable, for the time and all the information we have shared.
Okay.
Her name is the Honorable Sarah Opendi. She's the woman member of parliament for Tororo district. And she has served as State Minister for Lands, State Minister Health, and State Minister in the Mineral Development sector, and now an MP. That is all we had for